All right, folks, welcome back. News Radio 840 WHAS. Tony and Dwight Show with Dave Jennings. We are brought to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Please buckle up and slow your car down.
Everybody knows who our next guest is. If you live in Louisville, Kentucky, he's been an activist for years. He's been going around with Louisville families when they're in a time of need. He's been helping out the children of Louisville, Kentucky with his own organization, Game Changers. I'm talking about Christopher 2X. Christopher 2X, how are you this morning, man?
I am fine. Thanks a lot, Dwight, Tony, and Dave, and good to be back with you guys.
Hey, before we start talking about what we're going to talk about, we want to talk about what we're looking at this week with the Breonna Taylor announcement from the Attorney General Daniel Cameron's office, what to expect, and this is all speculation. But I want you to talk for a second about your organization, Game Changers, because in my opinion, your words, not mine, it's one hell of an organization. Talk about that for 1 second.
Yeah, so our goal is to definitely impact families and children who face multiple, challenges and trials throughout, neighborhoods in Metro Louisville. And we act as and try to pride ourselves as a link and connector to as many resources as we can muster up within, our ways and means. The bottom line, though, our kind of pitch tagline is to target education to crush violence, bottom line. And then when it's dealing with the social justice issues that we're confronted with right now, on equality and things like that, we try to maintain ourselves as kind of a center presence to try to get people to come together for good dialogue to get some good solutions, bottom line.
Christopher 2X is our guest. He's been part of our shows. We've been interviewing him for forever. You've been part of the fight forever, even before it was popular to be on TV with a family. You've been doing it even if it was just you and with a family. And this year we've got now 121 shootings. You would attribute that to why do we have a record number, do you think? If anybody's got an answer or tries to have an answer to try to answer that, it would be you. Why do you think we're at 121 this year?
Okay, when we look at now, 8 months now and 21 days into 2020, and we have surpassed the all-time Louisville historical record of fatal homicides, which is 121. I want to remind you, all's listening audience, in 2016, we ended that year at 117, and that was the previous record. This has just been a build-up. If I can get right to the meat of it, it's been a build-up over time, and what's kind of defining for me already with 8 months and 21 days into this year, the amount of young people that have been impacted by these violent shootings. The other number, the non-fatals, where people just get wounded and don't die, at 8 months and 21 days, we're nearly reaching 500 individuals wounded in this city, and there's a lot of young people. And equally, we've got younger shooters now, and that's troubling at best. That's a real concern as it relates to 2020, how this has evolved into way younger shooters with the access to guns like never before.
Chris, there are common phrases out there. You see them on NFL helmets. You see them all around the league and in other areas. End racism, equality. All of us want those things. I don't think we're as racist a society as we are being portrayed. However, people that claim to want dialogue, if I have the audacity to have a different point of view or support the police, I become a white supremacist racist. That's pretty frustrating.
And I totally understand that. And that's why Game Changers does its best to try, just like I described a few minutes ago, to work from the center to engage all parties who will be willing to have dialogue to try to get us to better spaces. And I know the tension that's going on right now is real. Even when you look at the mix of the situation, from COVID to the social justice cries for justice in regards to police-involved shootings, then you have law enforcement, especially LMPD homicide, trying to tackle all of these shootings. It's really chaotic in many ways. However, I would say to your listening audience, and I would say it with a level of confidence and caring, that at the end of the day, we're going to have to problem solve these solutions by having serious dialogue and not sharing that space from a lovey-dovey angle, but from a respectful angle to try to get to a better way to at least create habitable environments for children to thrive throughout Jefferson County.
And what Christopher 2X said just right there is exactly what I'm saying we need right now. We need less monologue from both sides and more dialogue. Both of us coming together and talking, much like we're doing now, is we're talking to Christopher 2X. He's a well-known activist for decades here in Louisville. He founded Game Changers. He's an activist that has been taking it to the streets long before this year and actually making change through reaching out and helping the children here in Louisville, so much that the New York Times didn't just do an article on the man, they did a series piece on you, Christopher 2X. And my next question to you is, it's all speculation, but we're looking down the barrel of what's going to happen this week. All speculation that is supposed to be the announcement between Attorney General Daniel Cameron. How do you think that it's going to go? Because we're in a no-win situation. The eyes of the nation, they're looking at our town, Louisville, Kentucky, right now. And no matter what way this goes, I think there's going to be unrest. I hope I'm wrong. What do you speculate will happen on this announcement?
Well, based on at least not only just observation-wise, but for the last 2 decades, guys, of being connected to situations that would occur in Metro Louisville with police-involved shootings, and even when I've been asked to come to other spaces in different parts of the country to address how we get to a more common space of dialogue and solution-driven efforts, I would say that nobody's going to be happy by this decision. Bottom line, I mean, we should know that ahead of time. And regardless of I would say the grand jury's decision, and in connection with the announcement from A.G. Cameron, what we've got to also understand is there's an aftermath to the decision. And how we handle that aftermath will again bring us back to the bottom line for me. How do we create better, habitable, and thriving environments for the kids amongst all the things that we're challenged with? And I'm telling you all, regardless of the decision, we've got to understand that we've got to work through these things. And, of course, some are worried about unrest, but equally at the same time, the unrest, if it occurs, will dissipate at some point. And then what do? We're back to the bottom line about how do we engage each other for problem-solving solutions that can make this a better space for everyone involved. And, again, I'll put emphasis on the children. Simple as that.
And Christopher 2X, you make sense with that. Sometimes it just takes another generation of people to just figure it out. To me, I got a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. I swear I just don't think that generation doesn't see color. I think there was some real hope with that generation that when we move forward, people get set in their ways, Christopher. You know that, man. People get set in their ways and you can't tell them anything, and they don't want to budge. And everything you're doing is wrong, everything they're doing is right, and they're just not going to get their mind changed. But there is real hope with this next generation. I think that's what that we're kind of pointing towards, because what I keep hearing from you is getting to the kids and the kids. We still do have hope for the older folks too, right? I mean, how will that look trying to change everybody's mind? Because I love the Black Lives Matter T-shirts and the signs in the yard and all that, and but when that all goes away, what's the real content there as we discuss what's going on between police and society?
Well, you have young individuals who have been brought into many of these situations that are in real time right now, whether that's them advocating for COVID in the way that they see it as far as protection for a very deep public health crisis, a pandemic, or it's the unrest and them feeling in some kind of ways that they want to talk about more equality and what that looks like, and equally at the same time how some are feeling about the impact of violence and how it's destroying lives and knocking kids off their learning curves and their focus for learning, who live in the neighborhoods who are subjected to this time and time again. With that said, I'm hopeful that there's going to be some manifestation of some nice, eloquent, and very mindful and intelligent young leaders that manifest out of all of these challenges that can at least be reasonable voices to try to take everybody to better times ahead. I truly believe that, and I believe this kind of energy usually does that kind of stuff, and hopefully that's what we'll see in the coming days and weeks and years.
Talking with Christopher 2X, there's lots of kneeling happening. There's lots of signs. There's lots of shirts, lots of talk for dialogue, but not a lot of solutions being offered. In your mind, what sort of things, what are some common sense things that need to happen to have this a better place for our kids to live? Your words.
Well, at the end of the day, we've got to get to a better trust, let me say, space between especially the black community and law enforcement. Now, that's not going to be a snap of a finger kind of powwow situation. It's going to take time. It's going to take efforts on both ends to engage in a serious, respectful way. And, again, we've got to get away from this false narrative, in my opinion, that the only way we come together is love each other. Now, I think the best way we come together is respect each other. And if we've got anything we can commonly connect to that can make us respect each other, and I hate to be redundant, but I will be, it's the children. We all have a common interest in seeing children thrive. So let's start from that basis, and hopefully once we get to at least common situations as far as dialogue that can lead us into those better spaces and deal with some of the hard things that we don't like to talk about. At the end of the day, when we know that the children are the neutralizer, why don't we at least do it in their behalf, for their benefit, even if we don't want to have those kind of relationships with each other, we know that we can do it once we have a common goal and a target to shoot after. And I think the children are that common target. And I'm telling you, if we don't have a better relationship between law enforcement and the black community, these problems are going to keep manifesting, and everybody's going to be like, why are we revisiting this situation time and time again? I know I'm going to do my part, and I know other people will do their part. It's about the whole idea now of how the community of Metro Louisville is going to handle, again, the announcement, the aftermath of the announcement, and then moving forward. But everybody has a stake in this situation. And lastly, guys, on violent crime, that's going to take more of an internal will to deal with violent crime in a way that is holistic and actually embracing it just like it's COVID-19. Like it's that urgent of a situation to embrace it and not being afraid, not being ashamed. I'm talking about people who live in the epicenter of this situation. Don't be afraid to seek out help when you see these early behavioral symptoms. And we're starting to see it. Game Changers is at the early ages in preschool and definitely elementary school. So we don't have to wait to high school no more to figure out if we almost have a potential shooter on the street. We can see that evidence earlier than ever before now.
His name's Christopher 2X. He's a longtime Louisville activist. I want to wrap up like this. If I were to give you a microphone and you could address everyone who's been demonstrating, protesting in the past 100 days, and say one thing to all of the protesters and demonstrators before the announcement of Attorney General Daniel Cameron, what would you say to them?
I would definitely say to them, be intelligent, understand that your efforts have not went as it relates to every word that's rolled off you all's tongues have not been connected to dead ears, that have not been listening. So I think with all of that effort and energy that everyone has put in to express their First Amendment right, what they've got to do now is act intelligent, move in an intelligent way, and position themselves for further dialogue and engagement for a better future for everyone, and for them to feel proud about doing it from that angle to at least show this community that we weren't only expressing our First Amendment right as it relates to protest, but now we're ready to lead in a healthy and civil and intelligent way, and that might surprise some people at the end of the day as we move forward.
There we go. There's that scene in Denzel Washington in Remember the Titans where he says you don't have to like each other, but you got to respect each other.
There you go.
So that's some smart things to say from Christopher 2X. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
You guys take care. Bye-bye. Thanks.
See you.
There you go. Game Changers is the name of the place right there.